Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvelous Movie Mondays with Kelsey and Dill. I am that second half of the equation. I am Dill. How are you, Kelsey?
I am the first half of the equation. I'm Kelsey. I'm
Yeah.
doing really, really great, Dill, on this fine Monday morning on March 3rd. How are you feeling post Oscars?
You're so specific. I'm feeling great. Yeah, we're recording this not live. This will air in a few hours, but we're recording this Monday morning after the Oscars, so I'm very tired. I filmed my Oscar video, my reaction to that. That'll be up later in the day as well, maybe tonight, maybe early tomorrow, Tuesday. But I'm feeling great. This is a good day to be an Honora fan. I'm an Honora fan, so I was very happy with the 5 wins it took. Crazy. In terms of Marvel, though, we didn't get a lot of Marvel rep, obviously, because Deadpool wasn't nominated. But even in the winners, I don't think we saw any Marvel winners last night. Am I mistaken? Oh wait, oh duh, no, that we did. Sorry, Zoe. Sorry. Um,
Oh,
I just tried to blank the movies that wins out of my brain.
right,
But
right.
I'm not even the biggest hater of that movie, but I just didn't think it was Academy Award worthy. But Zoe Saldana, a Marvel actress who is now a Oscar-winning actress, so now Guardians of the Galaxy. This is the first Guardian of that galaxy to win an Oscar too, because Bradley Cooper still has not gotten one. So the first Guardian of the Galaxy to win an Oscar. I'm probably wrong with that as well. Someone's probably fact checking me as well out there, but I think I'm good, right? Because Chris Pratt never won. Karen Gillan hasn't been nominated. Dave Bautista hasn't been nominated. Um, I don't even think Chris Pratt's been nominated. So
I was gonna say, I was like, what was Chris
no.
Pratt nominated
uh,
for?
well, because like I know like there's certain movies that they're in that get nominated. Like I know like the Lego Movie got a Best Song
Mm,
nomination for Everyone Is Awesome, but I don't know if he could take credit for that. But yeah, Zoe Saldana, big for her. The other 3 winners, not Marvel actors. Kieran Culkin never been in a Marvel film. Neither has Adrian Brody or Mikey Madison, but I would love to see them in a Marvel movie. I don't know if that'll happen now because they have an Oscar. They can do whatever prestige shit they want.
right.
But um, great night, I thought. I thought the show was great. I thought it moved along pretty well. The Bond montage was a little unnecessary. Otherwise, I thought everything was done pretty tastefully. The In Memoriam
Mm.
playing Mozart's Requiem. It's a Requiem, obviously, but it just gave a weird kind of sinister vibe to the whole In Memoriam. But otherwise, I thought it was a great show. Robert Downey Jr. got to present the supporting actor kicking off the night. We got some appearances from a dancing Deadpool. Timothy Chalamet was in front row. Dune won a lot. So, what do you think of the Oscars, Kels?
I was kind of catching it. I watched the first half while Willis doing my job, so I was
Mm,
being the best employee as I sat in front of the TV and tried to get as much as I could. And then I watched the second half at my house. I thought it was a good night. I saw a snippet of the opening performance of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
mm,
Obviously, both
fantastic,
beautiful, wonderful.
fantastic.
I always thought that whatever was nominated for best song got, performed it.
Yeah, so this is the first year they decided no best song nominations performing. My theory is, and I'm not going to be someone who's going to read into these conspiracies too much, but I've heard from people I know who work somewhat tangentially with like arenas and music places like concert venues and stuff. Selena Gomez sometimes is not the best live.
Mm,
And I don't know how Zoe Saldana is live. So
mm,
I don't know if maybe they didn't want to perform their songs, or maybe they didn't think because Amelia Perez was getting a lot of backlash, maybe they didn't even want to invite the conversation.
mm,
Also, like Elton John would have been a great performer, but like I don't know. I don't know. It was a weird choice. I agree. But they seem to replace it still with music. Instead, it was about they were celebrating Quincy Jones with the Queen Latifah music number. They were
yeah.
celebrating the Bond anniversary, I guess, or Bond going to Amazon, I guess. And then Wicked, which I think is also like what your biggest movies of the year musical wise is Amelia Perez and Wicked. Amelia Perez has controversy. Let's just do a Wicked thing, even though they're not original songs, they're not nominated. We'd rather
Mm,
get them performing those songs than the original songs, especially because I think this category this year was just kind of lackluster. I think that's probably where it stemmed from, a mix of like, can they do it live? Do they want to do it live? Do we want to invite Amelia Perez to get 2 whole song performances? It's not like Barbie where everyone loved Barbie. So when Billie Eilish and Ryan Gosling both did their numbers, no one had a
right.
problem. But it
Yeah.
really did feel like the Barbie show after that happened. Even though Barbie only won one Academy Award last year, because it performed 2 songs, it felt like a very Barbie heavy night, and I feel like if they had done the 2 Amelia Perez songs, it would have felt like a very Amelia Perez heavy night, especially because also the ones who won the best song started singing during their acceptance speech, which was a little weird. So I do think that could also be part of it. And there
Yeah.
was some controversy in the Discord for sure about that, but
Yeah, yeah.
you're
Yeah,
right.
that was weird. I mean, like, I get it. I thought that it was just gonna be like they do like one little thing, but then they kept going, and I was like, oh no, 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 like don't do that. Like I was starting
Yeah.
to get secondhand embarrassment. But they
Yeah.
were, they were excited to win. But for the most part, like a lot of people in the movie zeitgeist, I also had Nora kind of pegged for winning. I haven't even seen it yet, but everyone's just
Oh,
been talking about it so
I think
much
you're
that
gonna
I'm
love it.
like, you know what?
Mhm.
In my gut, this is what's telling me what's going to happen.
Well, also the thing with Anora, and you haven't seen it, so I won't go into specifics, but it does such a good job appealing to everyone in tone. Like
Mm,
it's got dramatic beats, obviously talking about the sex worker experience and trying to break that taboo and that kind of counterculture. But then it's also got it's a full on like screwball comedy in the second act.
mm,
So it really is kind of the best of both worlds. It's like a rom-com in the first third. So like it really is very appealing to the masses, which I think helps. Not in a way that like Wicked and Complete Unknown were, which are these big like audience favorites, but like for the industry as well, who are also looking at like the cinematography and all like the niche little things. So I think it worked in appeasing everyone. I think the safest bet would have probably been Conclave in terms of like what traditionally wins Oscars, but even
mm.
that had like a little bit of an edge to it at the end. But I know you were a fan of that win
Oh,
for adapted screenplay.
loved Conclave because I haven't seen many of them. I think I've only seen like 3 of the 10. So I'm
Right, you
like,
saw what
obviously
Wicked, Complete Unknown, or no Wicked,
I've
Amelia
seen
Perez.
Wicked, Conclave, Amelia Perez. Let me go back up to
You
the
probably
top.
did you see Dune too?
Oh yes, I did see Dune
Okay,
2.
that's probably it, right?
Okay, so maybe I'm like halfway there.
Yeah, that's okay. Did you see
But
the Substance yet, Kels?
no, Dill, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
before I leave for my job, I might swing by and drop the Blu-ray off at your house because I want you to watch it.
Okay,
I don't know if you have a Blu-ray player, but I will.
I do.
Okay, yeah, I might gift it to you and then pick it up from you when I come back home because I want you to watch it and you can't watch it unless you have Mubi as a streaming service, and I don't want you to have to pay for it, but I will gift it to you on my way out if I can, if the time allows. If not, please watch it if you can.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's the Oscars. Let's transition just because we do have to get through 5 episodes of a show,
right.
and we don't really have a ton of Marvel news. As is, there was a Daredevil trailer, but we both didn't see it, so we're like, you know what? Let's keep it a mystery.
Yeah,
We might as well tell you what we're doing next. It is March, so we are going to twice a month. So instead of doing every single week podcast because of my new job that I'm taking starting Thursday, we are going to be doing not even every other week, but just twice a month. There will also be trivia happening, so you might get an extra episode a month, depending. That'll be on Kelsey and Matt's terms, but I do want to let everyone know if you don't see our show next Monday, it's because we're only doing twice a month because of my schedule. And Kelsey was so gracious in letting me, make that choice. But also, because we haven't seen season 3 of Daredevil yet, the second episode in March will be our season 3 Daredevil review for Netflix. And then by the time we get into April, we'll have enough episodes where we can do like a chunk of episodes for Daredevil, Born Again, I think it's called. So
hmm
we will do all of season 3 of Daredevil in the next episode we do here, and then in April we'll do an episode for 1 through 3, and then we'll do 1 through 4 through 6, and then in May we'll do 7 through 9, finish up that, and then do our Thunderbolts review. That's going to kind of be the schedule through May. Then once June hits, we'll be in Fantastic Four season, and we'll just determine what will happen then, because then I'll be full on sailing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Pickle Awards. I announced a big announcement. I'm going on a cruise, not as a guest. So
You were
yeah,
working on a cruise.
yes. No, I'm not just
Employed.
taking a 6-month cruise. Imagine though if I'm one of the select people who went on the 4-year Trump cruise of like I'll come back when he's out of office because they're doing that. There's a Trump
That's real?
cruise that's a real thing, but it costs a shoot ton of money. But
I
yeah,
remember I remember hearing something about like a cruise that like went like around the world. It was like 9 months, but then like didn't like a ton of people get sick or
it
something?
might have been during COVID or yeah, because when you're in close quarters, I don't know. But I will be on a cruise for like 6 months, so like I hope I don't get sick. But
Yeah.
we'll see. I
You're
mean,
gonna need your
we're gonna be
vitamin
stopping
C
in
and
ports,
D.
and we'll be able to get off, and like that. I hope it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But let's talk about these episodes, Kels. What do you think of this final wrap up of this series? We only covered the first half so far, but we were pretty big fans leading up to this. Are you still a big fan?
I still am a big fan, Dill. I was sad to watch this series go. I was
Yeah.
sad to for it to come to an end because
Mhm.
I was really, really into it, and I still am, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And I think that they landed everything like as obviously they left a lot open ended for future seasons, but I think that everything else like came to like a really like they just like wrapped everything up really well in
Yeah,
like these
and
last
we
five.
are getting a season 2 supposedly, so, like, it's not like we're just gonna be left up in the air, like, they very clearly do set things up that you need to follow through on, you
Right.
can't just say, "Oh, this person's actually alive," and then be like, "That was just a fun little nod," like, no, like, they're gonna follow up on it, so, I'm very excited to see what happens with the next but yeah, I really like this, I really like the series, I think it's solid, it's not X-Men 97 level for me, but it's like, the animation from Marvel is pretty solid, pretty solid.
Mhm. Um, right. So let's start with episode 6. This is where we left off. Duel with the Devil. So Nico is still kind of giving Peter the cold shoulder because of the whole Harry hanging out with them thing, but Peter really wants the three of them to be friends, so that he actually invites the two of them to a movie night at his house. Meanwhile, things are going bad to worse for Lonnie because of this whole gang business.
Mhm.
Lonnie is officially kicked off the football team for missing too many practices. So now they are in the need for not only a team captain, but also a quarterback for the team. And we hear on the announcements during this episode that they lost the big championship because he had been missing
Yeah.
so much. Um, so, okay, because Lonnie is missing school so much, Peter needs a new science partner. He gets paired up with Pearl and her science partner, whose name I don't remember. Don't ask me that in trivia
Selfie girl, we'll say.
match.
I actually like that bit where she's, like, taking all these selfies, she doesn't really realize that they sat him right in the middle of the 2 of them.
Yeah.
It's like, "Wait, who are you?" Like,
Who are
I don't know,
you?
it's like that kinda high school humor that I actually do appreciate, like, it feels like that is accurate, like, where you're just totally zoned out
No,
on it.
exactly. So
Yeah.
instead of having to go to practice because now he's off the team, he does not reveal this to his family. He gets home and he immediately gets I'm talking about Lonnie, I don't think I said the same. Lonnie gets home, he immediately gets into a fight with his brother because Dre is upset that he took his spot in the 110. He's like, "Listen, that was my chance to be somebody. You always were going to be someone without a gang. Like this is the one thing that I could have done without being your little brother, and you've taken that away from me too." And it's
Mm,
like, be a little more ungrateful, Dre, because Lonnie saved you from a life of crime. How
yeah.
dare he? So then at the movie night at Peter's house, um, at the same time, Norman Osborn also has a charity event that he is at, and there's a few little Easter eggs, a character that we get to see in this rendition of the MCU, which is cool. Thaddeus Ross shows up.
Mhm.
They also announce over the speaker that one of the donations given that night was by Mrs. Eleanor Bishop, which, as we know, is Kate Bishop's mother from
Yeah.
Hawkeye. Um, but while Nico, Harry, and Peter are all trying their best to get along at Peter's place, they're trying to pick a movie, and two of the movies that Nico and Harry both want to watch are called Tomb Buster, which is a Easter egg from Moon Knight, and Zaniac, which is a Easter egg from Loki. So
I did not even pick up either of those things. That is why, Kelsey, you are the trivia champ. Why you win belts and why you make it to the final rounds of big faction duels. Because of that.
well, I just love a good Easter egg. If there's
Yeah.
like I just love when like the MCU does shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Willist at his charity event, Norman starts talking to Thaddeus Ross about the Sokovia Accords that have been put in place and about their new Spider-Man that they have in New York. And while he's showing something, he gets an alert on his iPad that someone has broken in to Oscorp. And so he has Peter go investigate for him. Meanwhile, Lonnie is out getting followed by the Scorpions, and they actually end up finding the 110's HQ, which becomes
Mhm.
very relevant in the next episode.
Yeah.
The person who you might be wondering who broke into Oscorp, is Matt Murdock himself, Daredevil.
Very cool.
So very, very cool. There are some quips about him being blind, which, like, it's bound to happen when you're interacting with Daredevil. It's just so funny how it always happens. People are like, I bet you didn't see that coming. And he's like, not quite. Like, like
Yeah.
it's just a little
And
overplayed.
and this was Charlie Cox, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
That's
it
what I thought.
was.
That's what I thought.
And so it's a pretty even match. Obviously, Daredevil does get the upper hand of Peter because, he's freaking Daredevil. Like, he's
Right.
so good at what he does. So he does warn Peter before knocking him out that you should be wary of Norman Osborn and that he is hiding something. And
Mm,
Peter's like, no, like, that's my mentor. He would never do that. Like, you're the bad guy dressed as the devil. Like, obvious, like, why would I listen to you?
right.
And he does get knocked out. When Peter comes to, he tells Norman what happened, and Norman suspects that this masked vigilante is actually working for Octavius, which we know just very well not to be true. Just like as audience members, we know that Matt Murdock would never team up with Otto Octavius.
Never.
So while he is away, though, when Peter gets back to his apartment, he has to make up some story about, oh, they were out of snacks, but I got ice from the convenience store. Harry accidentally lets it slip to Nico that Peter is Spider-Man. And Nico doesn't want to believe this because she's like, no, if my best friend were Spider-Man, like, obviously he would tell me. But it is revealed that he is, in fact, Spider-Man and had been keeping it a secret from her. So she is a little upset that her friend, her best friend, would keep
Right.
something so big from her.
Hmm.
And at the end of this episode, we see Gargan getting into a scorpion suit fitted and designed by no other than Otto Octavius himself.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
he's taking on the full
Mantle.
yes, the full
Yes.
facade of
Yeah.
Scorpion.
Nice.
Episode 7, Scorpion Rising, which is like an
Yeah. I got
astrology
you. As soon
reference.
as I saw that title, I thought of you. I was like, yeah,
Oh,
Kelsey, you love that.
thanks,
What
girl.
are you, Kels? What's your rising?
My rising is Sagittarius, and my moon is in Aries.
I thought your moon was Leo. Isn't
No, no, no.
Leo?
My sun is
Oh,
Leo.
that's where your sun is. So my sun is
Yes,
in Aries. I have no idea what else I am.
I'll find out for you one day. I'll
Thank
do
you.
I'll do a whole
I have
chart reading.
CoStar, but I need to re-download it. It
Okay,
would tell me there.
maybe we're friends on CoStar. We can see how compatible we are.
We can.
Um, so this is when I wrote down that the theme song of this episode ends with him in the white suit. So I had realized that like each intro had actually been like you saw him in the suit that he was currently sporting at the time. So he
Mm,
was in his like sweat makeshift suit with the goggles for the first few episodes. Then when he got the white suit, the intro included that one.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, they've been updating the
Right.
animation on the intro. Like that's super cool. And
Yeah, and then
like
building to what we will see, which is the fully fledged Spider-Man suit at the end. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So Peter and Pearl start bonding because they're science partners and they're both concerned about what's going on with Lonnie. She doesn't really understand what's happening. But Peter says, I'm there for you. I'm there for you if you ever need anything. Um, and when Peter leaves to go to his internship, we see that Pearl gets a text from Dre and says he wants to talk to her about Lonnie. So obviously he's going to reveal to her what's been going on behind the scenes. Peter and Norman get together and they find out that Octavius has been using gamma radiation for all of his equipment and they detect it in Harlem. So they go there to try to stop whatever's happening.
Mm,
Um, Meanwhile, this was a really sweet moment.
hmm.
Harry goes to Nico's foster family's house
Right.
to try to convince her to forgive Peter. And this is when I realized I was like, this show has just been really good at making like just very well rounded people because Harry Osborn, like, is a good person. Like, they could have
Yeah.
made him like a dumb, like, rich kid, like, whatever, but
One
he's
note
very
stereotype. Yeah.
exactly, but he's very self-aware about his whole deal, and
Hmm.
he is willing to go the extra mile to
Yeah.
keep this like very genuine friendship that he's made with Peter and now Nico because he's never had that before. Um,
Yeah.
so they go for a drive because Nico's hungry. He buys her some pizza, and then they kind of have this whole powwow about how like they're kind of both like misunderstood people, and he offers to teach her to drive. So while they're riding around in his fancy sports car, another fancy sports car pulls up. Realize that it's Harry in the passenger seat, and it's like, oh, like you're Harry Osborn, like you're a nepo baby. I hate you, and Nico sticks up for him and is like, hey, don't talk to him that way. Let's fucking race, lady. And so they get into this drag race. Meanwhile, this is the first time Nico has ever driven a car. Get into a drag race, they win. So they kind of have this like nice little bonding moment between the two of them.
Mhm.
And going back to your theory about these two characters, Dill, I don't know. Things could be happening.
I called it.
You did. You did.
I
I'll
stand
give
by
that
it.
to you.
And you know what? Another note, which we'll get on later because there's a few more scenes with them. But
Yeah.
I was picking up something with Peter and Pearl. Just saying. I don't know.
You think? See, the
Uh,
whole Peter and
I don't know.
Pearl situation to me is the like you versus the guy like she tells you not to worry about. Like it's
Right.
literally like, no, Petey, like he's just like he's my sweet like next door neighbor I used to babysit, and he's just there for me as a friend.
Right, but
I'm
that's
afraid
kinda
he's
what
gonna.
MJ was too in, like, the old Spider-Man movies too. Like, that's what I'm getting
Mm,
to. Because I don't know,
okay.
I feel like I don't know, they kept making these little, hints where, like, she would, like, like, hit it, tap him, and he'd kinda have a reaction. I don't know, it could just
Yeah.
be his own uncomfortability with women still at that age, but
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like that could be something that is, developed upon later, but I don't know. I just
Could
feel like
be.
I don't know, I feel like there's something.
I I want there to be something, but I also don't know how I feel about Peter swooping in and taking Lonnie's girl. Because
Right.
him and Lonnie are buds as well.
Right, and it would need to be like Lonnie they go full-fledged villain with, whereas, like, if they are trying to
Right.
redeem him, which they kinda do, like, I feel like that's where yeah, it wouldn't make sense, you're right, because in, like, the Raimi trilogy, it was like Harry was essentially the Lonnie in that sense, and he swooped in, took MJ, but then Harry ended up being the villain of Spider-Man 3, but then they all have a
Mhm.
poetic moment together at the end, so it's a little weird, it's a little all over the place, but, just some theories, just because I know they always try to give Peter Parker some sort of love interest, and we haven't seen Gwen Stacy, we haven't seen MJ, so it's just a
Yeah.
theorizing of who it could be because it's not going to be Liz.
Right.
Yeah,
So then Pearl goes to the 110 HQ to confront Lonnie. At the same time, Gargan shows up and he is full blown scorpion and he is murking people left and right with his stinger. So you see the action of it going, you hear the as it, gets someone, but you don't see anyone actually impaled. They were
right.
very much keeping it like PG-13, I would
Tasteful
say.
impalement. Yeah,
Tasteful,
yeah,
classy,
yeah.
classy
Classy.
impalement.
Yeah, Olaf would approve.
Right. Oh god. Um,
Well, I got to
so
turn my camera off for a sec. I got to go grab something, but I'm listening.
okay. So as Lonnie is confronting Gargan and is about to be killed because he's got his stinger wrapped around his neck, he's choking him out. Peter shows up and he gets his ass kicked. Like that, there's no other way to say that. Like this technology is just a little too strong for him. He's a little bit out of his element. He finally thinks that he's got him all webbed up. He's like, Mr. Osborn, I've got it all under control. He's all webbed up now. Like I'm gonna go, but Gargan is able to break through all of the webbing, and things take a turn for the worst because while Peter has his guard down, he gets struck by the stinger. He gets stabbed pretty badly. We can see that there's blood um coming from his chest. His suit is damaged. He's like getting trapped under like a steel beam. It's really not working out for him. And there is this one moment that gets me during this episode right at the end. It's this one little line delivery that made me be like, ah, oh my god. And listen, I said what I said about the actor who has been uh, oh my god, portraying Spider-Man. Obviously, we aired out all our grievances before. Um, but I will say, when you have a strong line delivery, like when it's solid, it's solid. I have to point it out. So Peter is trying to tell Norman Osborn that his suit has been damaged, and Norman says, "No, like that's impossible." And he goes like, ugh, he has this like anguish, like it's possible, and you're just like, no, no, Peter
Mhm.
Parker, you sweet, sweet boy, I want to save you. But he does end up getting saved by an Osborn hoverboard thing. Dill, do you know the real name for that?
The glider?
The glider. That's the word I was looking for, but I couldn't find it. So he gets
I'm gonna
saved.
go off camera again. I'm still listening. There was my Ethernet cable just unplugged out of the wall, like it just fell out.
Oh,
It was hanging on because I have one of those portable things. So I'm just trying to connect so my picture is better too. But I'm listening. I'm listening.
okay. Cool, cool, cool. Um, yes, so the glider comes in and saves him and takes him away right before the whole HQ actually explodes. And that brings us to episode 8, Tangled Web. So Peter is kind of in and out of consciousness. He wakes up in an operating room surrounded by nurses and doctors, and he sees Norman Osborn there. He's getting poked and prodded with needles. We see a shot of his blood being taken. Maybe that comes back in, who knows?
Mm.
We'll get there when we get there. Um, and then he finally wakes up kind of like post surgery. He's had, he's all cut up, he's bruised, he has a broken arm, his arm's in a sling. And Norman basically tells him, like, he gives him some really interesting advice. And he's like, listen, like, this wouldn't be happening if you weren't holding back. Like, you need to stop pulling your punches. I need you to be like the best Spider-Man, because even though like you're trying to save, the person who's fighting you, like the person who wants to hurt you isn't holding back at all. So like you need to match their energy. And basically he's asking him in so many words to just basically start murking people without any remorse. And Peter's ready to get back in the ring. He's like, okay, like I'm ready to go. Like I'll stop him. I know what I need to do. But his suit is damaged. And so he cannot go out and be Spider Man at the moment. Meanwhile, at his internship, Dr. Connors presents the experiment they've been working on. Remember that? Remember the internship he's supposed to be doing
Right,
with
right.
Dr. Carla Connors?
Mhm.
Well, apparently their experiment is finished and it works. It's some kind of big battery. Don't ask me what it is. And so Peter explains to Dr. Connors, he's like, listen, I'm sorry I haven't been around as much. It's just that Mr. Osborn kind of wants me on all these special like projects that he's doing. And he asks him, like, oh, so then do you have any idea why he's turning Oscorp into a zoo? And in the hallway, we see go by some lizards,
Yes. It's a great visual
which
gag. Yeah.
I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
Um, Peter then goes to Pearl's house for their science project that they need to work on together. But while he's there, Lonnie shows up trying to talk to Pearl about what happened about the one at the 110 HQ the other day. And Peter does his absolute best to convince Lonnie to drop the gang and to, give that all up because it's dangerous. He doesn't know what he's getting involved in. These people have mechanized scorpion suits. It's a little out of his depth.
Mm.
Meanwhile, Otto Octavius gets swatted because he gets it's found out that he's using gamma radiation, and it's not. It goes against the Sokovia Accords. So Thaddeus Ross shows up with a SWAT team. He's able to pretty much take out the entire SWAT team until none other. We have a cameo from Iron Man. And I literally said, I was like, oh my God, Mick Wingert's here. Hell yeah.
We
Um,
know, we know. Real ones know.
Shout
Iron
out
Man
Mick
is now Mick Wingert. No
Winger.
RDJ anymore.
Yeah, not my Iron Man.
Not my Iron Man. I eat it, Mick Wingert.
Him and
Mick Wingstop.
so Stark and Ross kind of exchange a weird moment together where they're just like Ross, Stark, and it's like because it's because it's immediately post like fight in Germany that they're kind of on like really weird terms, and I just
Mm.
like love how much they pack into like little moments like that. Um Norman and Peter have another powwow later on in Norman's office where he tells Peter, with great power comes great respect, which is as we know, not how the line goes, but this
Yeah.
is what happens
It's a
when
little
someone else
uncanny. Yeah.
yeah. This is what happens when someone else tries to take on the role of Uncle Ben. It's just you can't do it.
No.
And basically, this episode ends with another cameo from another um, movie slash just like Spidey universe, I guess, shows up talking to the 110 about Otto Octavius's weapons and gadgets and everything. And it is, excuse me, Dimitri from the Russian gang from a few episodes ago, but this time he is completely disguised, and it looks like to me, Dill, the chameleon.
Yeah. Maybe.
And I just realized I literally put it together in this moment while I
Yeah.
was watching the episode. I was like, oh, Dimitri from Craven.
Craven, the brother. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't even put that together either until you just said it now because I didn't catch the Dimitri of it all. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Dimitri Chameleon. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So he basically tells them that, like, well, you can't depend on Otto Octavius anymore because, like, he is in prison. So, like, good luck with whatever you're trying to do. And the 110, like their HQ is gone. They've got nowhere to go. They're like, oh, what do we do? Like we need someone to turn to. And so Lonnie kind of like steps up and rallies the troops and starts chanting 110. But at the time when I first watched the episode, I totally thought he was saying what team, a la High
Corbin
School
Blue.
Musical.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would be funny. What
Like
team? Yeah.
Wildcats. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait, I'm like, he's not saying what team. So when I watched the episode again with subtitles, I was like, oh, 110 is what he's saying.
Mm.
Okay. And then we finally get it's the moment we've all been waiting for. We finally get the proper Spider Man suit. Harry and Peter make a new suit for Peter, and it is the red and blue one that we have been waiting for, which brings us to episode 9. 2 more to go. I think we've been moving along pretty
Yeah.
seamlessly.
Yeah.
Episode 9, Hero or Menace. Norman visits Otto in jail basically just to gloat. He's like, "Oh, you thought you were going to be better than me, and look where that ended up." Meanwhile, I'm going to space. I'm enhancing in this. I'm making an army of spider people. I know like he's just rattling off all of his accomplishments. It was like very like I hate to say it. I don't even want to say his name, but I was just like, it reminded me of another like tech tycoon, smug
Mm.
asshole guy who's for some reason doing anything to our government at all. I was
Mm.
just like, it was giving me like gross, grody vibes. This is the one time that I was like, Norman Osborn, like, I was on your side. I was on your team. I was rooting for you. And now I feel like kind of weird. Like it was kind of slimy.
Mm. It was
Um,
musky, if you will.
yeah.
Mm.
I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad I'm glad you did tell.
Yeah, I said an adjective. I said it was
Yeah,
musky. I didn't say a person's name.
yeah, there you go. But good save. Okay, so the 110's new plan now is to actually hijack an Oscorp truck to steal all the weapons and technology within that. So they kind of get into this little like police car chase with the truck. Don, the leader, is just going off the rails. He's like, well, we can just take out these policemen. And Lonnie's like, I don't think that's a good idea, actually. Um, and as they're driving the truck off the road, it almost hits someone walking by. That someone is Nico.
Mm.
And before she feels that she is going to get hit, squished, demolished by this truck, she takes the purple necklace she's been wearing around her neck this whole time and holds it out as if to protect herself. Interesting. But at the last second, Peter shows up and is able to stop the truck from hitting her. They kind of like come to terms that like, she basically has found it in her heart to like forgive him, kind of at this point. We see it later on in the episode that she fully does forgive him later on. And in this street fight, the gang start fighting. The Scorpions show up. Peter goes up against Scorpion again. Gargan almost basically kills Dawn, but he's like, fine, like don't kill me, like I'll leave right now. And that's exactly what he does, is that he immediately gives up and flees the scene. So it's like, what kind of leader was that? I don't know. So then Lonnie is like, okay, well now I have to step up and like try to help the 110 because no one else is here to be
Mhm.
the leader. So I'm going to go for the truck to see what we can use to beat the Scorpions. While he's in the truck, a canister breaks and the gas is exposed to Lonnie and it seemingly poisons him.
Mm.
And this is why I do the research. This is why I put in the time. This is why what I said episodes ago when I said, oh, Tombstone, how does he become Tombstone? Experimental gas. This is what I'm saying, people. You
Yeah.
should never doubt me. Not that I think you ever do, but I think this is proof enough. If you needed proof, here it is.
Yeah.
So then Lonnie and Peter team up to defeat Scorpion. There is a moment where Peter can't get to Lonnie fast enough, and Scorpion sends the stinger straight to Lonnie's chest. We get this like shot of like the surroundings, and we see some birds fly. If I'm explaining this well,
Yeah.
and so we think it's going to be a gut wrenching moment of like, oh no, Lonnie's just been struck. This is the end of Lonnie, and I was
I
very
thought that's
distraught.
where it was going too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm like, I don't know, because he's either gonna go full fledged villain, which is like fine, I'm accepting it, or he's gonna die and be a part of like Peter's, story.
Yeah.
And so I literally was like, no, like I was really distraught in this moment. But because he inhaled the gas from the truck, he now has superhero strength of some kind. So he is able to stop the stinger from hitting him right before it pierces his chest.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so then Gargan traps Lonnie under a bunch of steel, and this makes Peter really upset and angry because he thinks that one of his good friends is now hurt.
Right.
So he really starts to laying into Gargan. He's not holding anything back. He's ready to he rips the stinger off of him and is ready to plunge it right into um his face. It was very No Way Home with Toby and Andrew being like, no, Tom Holland, don't kill Norman Osborn, I think it is at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Where you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. But Lonnie stops him because he's like, no, you don't want to be like him. Like you can walk away from this. Like, don't kill him. So then post battle, we are now in an alleyway with Nico looking for Peter. Peter swoops down, upside down. It is very upside down kiss, if you will, but instead of upside down kiss, it is upside down punch because Nico gets startled and punches him right in the face.
Another great subversion of expectation. Like this whole episode
Yeah.
has been we're gonna give you the cliche. Nope. With the Lonnie fake out, and then with the Nico upside down. Like that is all really great. Like, oh, you thought it was going this way. Nope. Swoop punch.
Yeah. And so Nico and Peter have a moment where they forgive each other. They promise each other that moment moving forward that they are not going to keep any more secrets from each other. But as Peter swings away, Nico looks down at her necklace and says, yeah, sure, no more secrets. So obviously, she has one more secret she's not telling us.
Do you know what it is?
Well, I do because I watched all the episodes.
Right. But at this point, did you know what it was?
Oh, well, no. Did I think that she was talking to her dead mother via necklace? No.
No, okay. I thought in the moment it was gonna be that her and Harry are doing it. Because I was like, oh, her secret is that she likes Harry. It's all gonna come full circle. Yeah, that was when I was like, oh, do we know her secret? No, but then it ended up being something that was quite literally, yeah, a big secret, which is also cool because it's it plays in that character almost hypocritically, where she was so upset at Peter for keeping the secret from her when she has a secret as well. It adds a little more complication to that relationship for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it was going that route. I was like, oh, secret.
No, yeah, that would have been good too. But I don't know. There was so much attention to the necklace these last couple episodes. I was like, clearly she's got
There's
something
with
going
that.
on.
Yeah.
And it's now there's the potential moving forward where once Nico tells Peter about whatever she's got going on with this necklace, he has the opportunity now to be like, what? No, fuck you. Why would you keep that from me? You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like,
Good point.
who's to say what's going to happen
Yeah.
to their friendship moving forward? And this episode ends in a conference meeting at Oscorp with Osborn and all of his employees. The one that we hear from most is the guy. What's his name? Bentley. I think his name's Bentley. West Bentley. Whatever. He's the guy who's in charge of the internship, and
Gotcha.
so
Is it Wes Bentley? Wes Bentley's an actor who plays the guy in the Hunger Games. That's the actor from the Hunger Games.
wait,
Wes Bentley.
really? Who's Wes
Yeah.
Bentley in the Hunger Games?
Wes Bentley plays what's his name? The guy with the like cool like facial hair. Um, this
Cynic?
guy.
No.
This guy. That's Wes Bentley, the actor Wes Bentley. I don't know who he plays in Hungry. I don't know the name of the character.
Okay, I don't know why I'm saying Wes Bentley because that's not
Maybe it is Wes Bentley. Who knows? Maybe Wes Bentley, the actor, was named after Wes Bentley, the comic character. I don't know if it's that old.
It's his name is Bentley. It's Dr. Bentley Whitman.
Gotcha. And I did find out Seneca Crane is the name of the guy.
I was gonna say Seneca. Oh my god, I'm a genius.
You should have trusted your gut.
Yeah, I should have.
Except for it wasn't Wes Bentley. That was not your gut. You should have trusted. But the name of the Hunger Games character, you should have.
Yes. So basically Norman asks him how the internship program has been going, and he says like, oh, like, yeah, all of the experiments and all the work that the interns have been doing are going according to plan. They all work, it's all going good. And we find out a few things in this meeting. One, that all of the things that the interns have been working on have actually been part of a bigger project for Norman. And two, Norman is planning on using Peter's blood to make more spider people. So this is like what I call the downfall for me of Norman Osborn. So that brings us to episode 10, our last episode of season 1. I'm gonna read because I'm a literate person who has an education. If this be my destiny, ... So we get an intro with the red and blue suit. Yes, as I said before, Norman reveals to the interns that all of the projects they were a part of is something bigger. So he wants to basically unlock space travel. So he wants to recreate, this is the vibe I was getting. He wants to recreate what the Tesseract does in the Avengers movie.
Right, like
he wants to make a portal.
Yeah.
Basically. Exactly. So Dr. Whitman goes to turn on the machine, and Norman's like, oh my god, look at the amazing thing that we did, because a portal shows up, and it's a gold portal doing the spinny thing. And Dr. Whitman's like, I didn't touch anything yet. Like, this isn't me.
Kelsey, do you watch the previously ons every episode or no?
I do, but then I like skip them because I'm like, I just watched it. I don't need it.
So this one was interesting because it was the season finale. So they were kind of going back to episode 1 and they were showing all the Doctor Strange stuff in the previously on, to where I was like, oh, interesting. I guess this is just showing a whole season recap. But then I realized, no, it's because he's going to come back here, because as soon as I saw the portal, I'm like, oh, it's Doctor Strange, because they just did the previously on and he was a focus. So like, why are they focusing on stuff from episode 1? Maybe it's just because like, oh, it's the end of the season, here's what you missed this season on Glee. So like that was funny, because I, in the moment, I was like, oh, of course, that's why they put him in this previously on. I was like, it's not a season recap, it's important. That's where I think reading into the marketing is my biggest enemy on the show. But the marketing is in the episode itself. It's hard, but as soon as this happened, I was like, oh, okay, it's Mr. DS with a stash. He's coming.
Yeah, exactly. No deal. I did not see this coming like at all. Like, obviously I knew once I saw the gold ring, I was like, okay, that's a Doctor Strange portal. I'm locked in. But like how it all plays out and how it ties into the first episode, I did not see coming at all. It was crazy.
Favorite Harry Potter movie is Prisoner of Azkaban because I love time travel shit where like characters go back in time but then like influence the events of other things because they do things and it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it
Yes.
does. Because cinematically it doesn't matter if you could just suspend your disbelief. Like the fact that like, oh, the rock that Hermione throws is what makes them turn around at that exact moment, even though it's her in the future doing it to distract. But then how did she throw it if it was in the past? Like that's the shit I love, and I love the fact that like they did that in this final episode. I love this final episode.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Honestly, I think Prisoner of Azkaban is the best, like,
Movie ever.
example of time travel in movies because I think it just explains it really well. Like, it doesn't really uh leave anything open ended and for you to go, well, then why didn't she? You know what I mean? What
Yeah,
the problem with introducing the time turner to the Harry Potter universe is that like, well, why don't we just use those all the time then? Like, I feel like maybe they should have had it like break or
destroyed.
something, or
Yeah.
yeah, like
Well,
something like
yeah.
that, just to like,
Yeah, because when you break the universe and fix it, it's like that's the same thing with the Thanos thing. It's like at the end of Endgame, why is Iron Man snapping his fingers to make all of Thanos' army die? Why not instead he just make them all good? Or like why doesn't Thanos when he
mm,
snaps his fingers build more resources as opposed to getting rid of half the galaxy? It's one of those things where it's like, well, if you have this thing that can save anything with a snap of a finger, why not just build the crops? Why do you need to get rid of
right,
half the population? Then Iron Man, why are you just gonna commit your own mass genocide? Why don't you just make everyone good or like make everyone like put everyone in like a big prison or something? Like why do you have to
yeah,
kill them too? And I think that's kind of where a lot of that's the holes you could poke at big franchises where it's like this worked. Why are we going back to it? You know, which is a good
yeah,
point. Yeah,
yeah.
that's solid. I didn't thought about that. I with the time turner. You're right. Like, why wouldn't they just use it every freaking movie now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That
like
that's
bring
at
back
least
Dumbledore, yo.
right.
Yeah,
So then Doctor Strange shows up and he's basically like, you can't be doing this. You're meddling with things you don't understand. You're gonna awaken all this bad shit if you actually try to like space travel and like break basically the space-time continuum. And Norman Osborn is having none of it. He's like, well, I'm a genius billionaire and get out of my way.
mm.
But then of course, these the villain, the baddie from episode 1 shows up through the portal, and this is when I realized it might be like a weird drawing of Venom. Is this like maybe like an original style of
Oh,
what?
you think it's just like an original? Yeah, because we do get the little goo symbiote thing too.
Right.
Yeah,
And then there's multiple of that. And then when it was especially when there was like multiple of them and they all were like just a head
right.
basically, they really looked like Venom.
Even if
So
it's
I was
not
like
like Venom, it could be just some sort of like altered like spider thing.
symbiote, some kind of
But that's
symbiote
what Venom
species.
is. You know, it's the dark
Yeah.
Spider-Man. So if it's
Right.
just the spider part of it, not the man. So yeah,
Mhm.
like I do think that that makes a lot of sense. It could just be an original sketch of Venom. You're gonna look at Venom and it's gonna be like on pages 1 through 1,000 because it's on every
Well,
page.
well, I'm looking for symbiote, but I don't have to do this right now. It's, it is what it is.
Okay.
So then Strange and Peter team up to fight these things from
Yeah.
taking over.
They basically have the
Um,
same altercation too, where it's like, "What's your name? Peter Parker, Spider Man. What's your name? Strange." Well, the strangest thing in this, like the
yeah,
stupid
yeah,
grammar.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a layup to make a joke out of his
yeah, you
name.
got it
The same way to make a joke of Daredevil's blindness.
right.
Um,
Easy cheap shot. The
don't
same
take
way
that out of
you make fun of blind people. I am Kelsey Kilpatrick, and I approve this message.
don't take that out of context, please. I don't make fun of blind people. Okay.
No, only
Doctor
Daredevil.
Strange uses the time stone at one point to make things kind of go in reverse.
To make things go,
Sorry, it's
to make
yeah.
time happen. I don't know.
He uses it and time things happen. He also opens up a portal to the dark dimension because he's like, okay, I'm just gonna throw you there. But the problem is that Peter ends up going there too, and he's like, oh no, I can't have the kid in there. Like I gotta
Right.
send them both back.
Hmm.
And so he uses the time stone to open up a portal to the past, back to when Peter was starting his first day at Midtown High. And the monster falls through the portal Doctor Strange goes along with it. Peter works on closing the portal that's in the future. And this is when Doctor Strange realizes, like, oh my God, where are we? When are we? Oh, we're not supposed to be here. It's all the scenes like playing out. The spider falls through the portal, it bites past Peter Parker. And that's how we get our Spider-Man, is because of something that happened in the future. It's fucking crazy.
It's
I
Prisoner of Azkaban, and I love it.
I was literally mind blown. I was like, wow, they fucking nailed it. I think they
Yeah. And it makes sense.
hit
It,
it
it
right out of
doesn't
the park.
feel it doesn't feel like it was forced as like an
Yeah.
explanation for things. It made a lot of sense. And it honestly, because that was my whole thing in the first episode. I don't even know if I vocalized it, but I was like, how is he getting bit? Like, where's the
Mm,
spider coming from? It's just coming out of nowhere. And now it
yeah.
makes sense. It is literally coming out of nowhere. It's coming out of a portal. And
Yeah.
I like that, as opposed to like the classic, oh, they're in like a museum and there's all these spiders. It's like, no, he
Yeah.
was his
Yeah.
own doing. It was always fate. And that's the thing, you could poke holes in it, like, well, how is this happening if it didn't happen because then he got bit? And then it's one of those things where the past and the present and the future all kind of coexist simultaneously, like everything has
Yes.
to line up in place. And nothing happened first. It's a chicken or egg thing. Both happened.
Right. Everything happened at once.
Hmm.
Everything everywhere all at once.
Yes, great movie.
So then, because of this, so basically they shut down the whole space travel portal not
Mm.
Norman Osborn was trying to build. It breaks. There's like this huge explosion at Oscorp. So he starts getting canceled. Peter quits because he doesn't trust Norman anymore. He's like, he's been up to some sketchy shit. He's been lying to me. I'm not rocking with this guy anymore. And then him, Harry, and Nico all meet up for a powwow about what's been going on, kind of reveling in like the post trauma of it all. And
Hmm.
Harry's like, hey, if it were my company, I would just let the scientists do what the scientists needed to do, and I would just like relax and I would just fund it all and I wouldn't get involved at all because like what do I know? And Nico's like, well, start your own company. Like you have a trust fund, like do it. And
Right.
so Harry sends out a mass email to a bunch of different workers. Basically, he's trying to poach all of the workers from Oscorp to start working for his company, which is called WEB, the Worldwide Engineering Brigade. And this is when we find some stuff out right at the buzzer of the episode.
Mm.
One, Jean, one of the interns who I forgot to mention in an episode prior, was trying to break into Norman's office at one point, and Peter was like, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here." And she's like, "Well, you're not supposed to be here either." And Peter's like, "Well, I'm best friends with Harry, so that's why I'm here." And she's like, "Okay, well, see you later then." And it's like, "What's going on?" We find out that she is working with Daredevil, and she is gets the email from Harry, so she's going to then infiltrate Web to see what's going on. And she's like, "Well, I infiltrated one major corporation for you. I might as well do another." So that's why she was an intern from the start. Is that she and Daredevil have their own little mission together.
Yeah, it's cool.
Then we see Lonnie, who has seemingly become the new leader of the 110. He throws his varsity jacket in the trash. He is leaving his high school life behind him completely. And he is now going to be doing the 110 and whatever the 110 is going to be doing.
Yeah, disappointing for
Disappointing.
one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then we get a shot of Nico, who takes off her necklace, puts it on a pentagram, some things light up, and she's like, "Hi, mom." So it's like, is her mom dead or is her mom just like somewhere else that's like not in this realm?
I don't know. I took it as dead, or maybe
Right.
like quantum realm. Like I
Mm,
don't know. I just feel like I feel like she says her mom is dead in the series a lot. Like I feel like if she weren't and she were just somewhere else, because Peter never says his. Well, we're getting there in a sec, but like Peter
right.
always says his mom is dead, but he
Yeah.
never really confirms that his dad is dead. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
Whereas I do think if she knew her mom was really alive, she wouldn't say her mom was dead. So I feel like she's dead, or she's talking
Okay.
to maybe a past version. Maybe she's doing some time travel shit.
Yeah, maybe she's talking to her in like the afterlife of some kind. We'll find out.
Yeah,
And then May goes to visit someone in jail.
yeah. Sorry, I
And
just tipped
we
this.
and no, it's good. And then we find out that the person in which she is visiting, is Peter's father because he wants to hear about how his son is.
Mm. Oh, yeah. So now we're like full on parallel universe. Like his dad's alive. Is
Yeah,
he a good guy? Obviously, he's in jail, but we don't know why.
right.
Richard Parker, also the name of the tiger in Life of Pi. Funny fact. Um, yeah, the
I didn't know
tiger's
the
name is.
tiger had a name. The
Oh yeah.
tiger in Life of Pi has a first and last name, and it's Richard Parker.
Yes, and it's so endearing. And it's yeah, it's great. You should check that one out. That I think you would like that one. Um,
Okay.
but
Is the
yeah,
tiger CGI?
yeah.
Okay,
A mix, I think it's a mix of CGI slash puppetry slash real tiger. Like it's a visual effects masterpiece because they're able
got
to make it all seamless. But yeah, that's how we end our season, which is pretty bold, pretty big. How do you feel, Kels?
I feel I I feel like bamboozled a little bit because
Okay.
we got like such a solid wrap up for some things, but now there's all this open ended stuff that
Mm,
I'm like, oh, I can't wait to find out about all this.
mm,
Also, right at the end as well, you can see a shot of Otto in his jail cell putting together his notes and stuff for
right.
what will eventually become his tentacles.
Yeah, his arms and legs or whatever. His
Yeah.
what do they he calls them? His children? I don't know.
Is
His
that what
darlings.
he calls
I
them?
don't remember. Listen, I haven't watched the Spider-Man trilogy in a while. Maybe we should do that. Well, we've never still never covered the Raimi trilogy on here. We've been meaning to do that. We said we'd do it with Chad too, but maybe sometime in 2026 when I'm back home.
I know
Um,
we should.
yeah. Any Easter eggs in this episode? Any other little things you found? I mean, you're going through your encyclopedia now. I hear the pages.
Well, I'm trying to look for Nico again because I want to know
If there's anything
what
about this mom thing.
her exact power is because I remember pointing it out. I could just look back in my notes. I'm acting like I don't have a detailed notebook here.
No, it's okay. Yeah, Kelsey writes down everything. I will say I really like this ending.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great way of kind of like making everything feel like a full story, even though it did leave stuff open. Like I felt like it gave good closure. It brought it back around in the first episode. It kind of established, okay, these are the villains going forward. These are the heroes. Where it was a little bit more murky. It's like, is Norman a good guy in this one? Is he a bad guy? Is this football player going to be a good guy? Going to be a bad guy? And I feel like they really did a good job kind of establishing where they are at for season two to then hopefully redeem at least one of them. I hope Lonnie gets some redemption. I hope that's the one we see because I feel like we got glimpses, but it only kind of went down the deep end. But like for a little while, I was thinking we were getting that redemption, like when he was fighting with Peter, and then it kind of went off the deep end. Power makes people hungry. With great power comes great. What is it, Kels? Respect. So
Respect.
yeah, very jarring, but love the Coleman Domingo line delivery. Did you find anything, Kels?
Well, I was going to ask, do you think that now Norman is basically on a track to become Green Goblin at this point, or do you think
I would assume because it's either him or
yeah.
I mean, in the comics, it's either him or his son, and I don't think they're setting Harry up for that. I think the turn of friend to foe is Lonnie, and I don't think they're going to do that again with Harry,
Mm,
especially because
yeah,
honestly, for the wokeness of it all, I don't think it would help if your two younger black characters are the ones who turn evil. So
got it.
I
Got
think
it.
that would be smart to keep Harry the good guy. So I do think
Yeah.
his dad is going to be the one who turns, if he turns, if they even bring the Goblin in at all. Because the Goblin in the comics, also, mind you, there's a version where it is like this more like not supernatural thing, but it's not even a mask. It's more of like an actual goblin type deal. So there's some versions, or there's like the Hobgoblin. So there's like the new Goblin. There's a lot of different goblins in the comics that you could pull from. So I think we'll get some sort of iteration of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would gut me if
Harry
Harry
returned too. Yeah,
turned. Like I can't have that. I can't lose Lonnie and Harry. These are
yeah,
two characters that I've invested too much in.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, the only thing that I'm reading about Nico is that she has the ability to summon a staff called the Staff of One, which she can use to cast any magical spell. So that's why she's kind of into. We see that she's into the tarot cards, into like the pentagrams, the crystals, like all of that. Like she's a very witchy girl.
mhm.
And so her whole backstory is that she discovered that her parents were a part of a cult and she fled it and became one of the runaways. and she ended up at one point using her magical power. She ended up back in the year 1907, where she met her great grandmother, the Witchbreaker, and she taught her how to control her magic. So I just wanted to know if there was anything specific about her, like summoning the dead, or
Yeah.
maybe like bringing people back to life.
Yeah,
But
because
it just
if
seemed
she's running from a cult, I don't think she'd wanna communicate with them. I don't think she'd wanna be like,
right,
"Hey, mom," so it must be some sort of connection with the
right,
dead thing, or maybe her mom's not really still her mom, it's another mom from another universe. I don't know.
yeah.
Very intriguing, though. I'm very intrigued. Like, I think this plants good seeds without making everything feeling too open. There's still some good closure there. And the new things that are coming about, like, the new developments that are completely new, are things that, like, we could follow through with later, but like they can be teases. They don't feel like they're completely random, but also don't feel like, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Um, I lost my train of
Well,
thought.
what I was thinking, Jill, while you were talking, is that I'm just so impressed by the amount that they were able to kind of pack into 10 like 30-minute long episodes in a cartoon, marketed for like a younger base, like, but it's still everything still felt like very fully fleshed out. Characters felt really super developed. Like everyone kind of had like their own arc along the way. Everyone from like literally Peter to Norman to Harry to Lonnie,
Yes.
like, you know what I mean?
The thing I was thinking of is, like, I'm glad the new developments for the characters we've been following have come out of their arcs being resolved already. Like,
Mhm.
Lonnie's arc kind of resolved. Now he's fully formed as this thing, and that's the twist going into the next season. Rather than like, I think of WandaVision, where it's like she had all this great closure, and then post credit scene, she's back into the evil dark books, and it's like, wait, didn't we just go through all this development of her realizing that she did so much harm, and now she's going back to do harm? I feel like
Right.
we didn't get any of that. All the plot twists and character twists made sense, and everything else that we were getting was brand new. Like the Nico stuff is something at the end that we finally were like, oh, there's something else to her character, rather than like abandoning everything that had come before. None of it feels like a 180 from what we saw before, and I like that, because sometimes we get twists where they're just like, oh, let's just stick the knife and twist it, and you don't
Mhm.
expect it. And I like the third eye in Doctor Strange as well, where it's like, oh my god, he's got a third eye, and then post credit scene, it's really nothing. So I think that's kind of the stuff where I like where this series just kind of rolled with what they already had, rather than trying to just subvert our expectations for the sake of it. So I'm a big fan. I'm excited for season 2. I'm sad we gotta wait, but I'm all for this woke series.
I'm all for this Vogue series as well. I'm excited moving forward to start talking about Daredevil Born Again, because
Mhm,
from the very short flashes that I've seen just like on ads on YouTube, it
mhm,
looks like it's going to be really solid.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just excited for everything that the future of the MCU has to hold. Did you see that? I saw this thing on TikTok the other day where there were like pictures of like concepts of scenes for like
I heard
the
they were out
two.
there. I didn't see
Yeah,
any, but I heard they were out there. But I don't know if it was like a Marvel's like, here's some concept art for Avengers Doomsday, or it was
yeah,
like someone made concept art and they're like, this is the Marvel concept art. And I'm like, no, it's just
right.
your art. Or if it was concept art, but they didn't want it to get out there. I don't know which one it is, because
Yeah,
I think JD warned me earlier this week. He was like, just so you know, guys, there's concept art that got leaked. Don't
mm.
look at your own discretion. I'm like, oh, got leaked. Like, so we are not supposed to see it. But then others were like, no, Marvel posted concept art. So I'm like, I heard what one of them was, but I don't want to like dive into it if you don't know what they are and don't want to talk about them.
No, yeah, we don't have to talk about them. I was just because, like, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, everything I see on the internet, I pretty much question: is this AI? Did someone just make this? Is this even real? And I'm leaning towards this, like, probably not being the most credible, because, like, how would a leak like that even happen? I feel
It
like
it it
Disney and
feels
Marvel is
like,
like pretty
from
strict.
what I heard one of them was, I won't say what it was, but it was a collection of characters, and from what I heard, it doesn't seem like it was AI, but it also could have been a fan drew all these characters to be together, because the collection of characters made a little sense, but then there was another character that was totally random that would not make sense to be there. And I also
Yeah,
heard they were in certain outfits that I just don't know if they would wear those outfits. I feel like they would have new outfits. I don't know. I also feel like we don't get a lot of concept art for Marvel films beforehand, because they keeps everything
right.
under such tight wraps that unless it's like something that's in the first 30 minutes of the movie that they can put in the trailer, like Endgame, the trailers were all from that first like 30 minutes. And then like the second trailer had a few sequences, like the one where Cap like pulls his thing up, and but I think the thing is, like, a lot of the movies we see, they only pull from the first act if it's one of those big like Avengers movies that has big spoilers in the second. So I don't know. I'll be wary of him if Marvel's like confirms them. We could talk about them. But
Mm,
yeah, be very interesting. But next episode we are doing Daredevil season 3 because we never got around to it on the channel. As I
yes.
said, this is happening twice a month, so the next episode could be the last Monday of March. We will just have to see based on what my schedule is and how long it takes us to watch season 3 because it'll probably take me a little while just because I'll be traveling this week and then getting started with rehearsals next week. But
Yeah.
um, actually, I start rehearsals this Friday, but I do think we will find the time. We'll get it recorded. We'll get it to you by the end of the month, and then next month we will do Daredevil Born Again. That'll be kind of our focus of April and early May, and then early May is also when Thunderbolts comes out. We'll hopefully get that review done, and then I get on the boat in late May. So hopefully we'll get all those episodes done. Daredevil and Thunderbolts by the time I get on the boat. So then the next thing we can record after that is Fantastic Four in June. Very exciting. Kels, any other thoughts on anything Spider-Man, Daredevil, anything, or are we going to call it a day? Do you want to plug anything? Don't
Um,
spoil the Trader season that we filmed because I'm not airing it till this summer either. So
I will not spoil anything that happened during the Traders episode, so you'll just have to stay tuned for that. Um, yeah, if you want, you can follow me on Letterbox. Is at Kelsey A Kilp. I'm pretty active on there. I like to leave. Sometimes my reviews are serious. Sometimes they're silly, goofy. So if you want like a laugh or my genuine opinion about a movie, you can follow me on there. And that's pretty much all I have to plug at this time.
anything I forgot to ask you at the top of the episode. Anything you watched this week that you liked that you want to plug that you want to shout out?
That's so crazy. Let me turn to my letterbox right now and see what I've seen. Oh, the last thing I saw was Heart Eyes in theater,
Oh, did
which
you like that?
I did. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it's definitely more comedy. It's like a very very good mix of of um comedy and horror. So it's definitely not one that took itself like too seriously.
Okay.
So if you're a fan of a silly goofy horror, I would recommend that one for sure.
Cool. I don't really know what mine was. I've just been binging all the Oscar movies, so you
Yeah.
all know my thoughts on those. So hopefully next week I'll have something that I watched. That's good to note. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you either next Monday or a future Monday for Daredevil season 3. Again, twice a month. It's the best way to accommodate my schedule without having to abandon the show altogether because we love the show. We love you guys watching it. So keep watching it. The more you watch, the more we can do what we do. And we really appreciate it. So thank you, and we'll see you soon.